Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Chris Maloney back with you for another edition of CWN Predicts Impact Wrestling Rebellion 2021, taking place live tonight, 8 o'clock p.m. on Fight, as well as pay-per-view here in Canada, and then the kickoff show, the pre-show, taking place live tonight, 7 o'clock p.m. on social media, as well as Fight. And it's interesting, I kind of logged in today, and obviously if you're watching this, you're watching the premiere on YouTube as well as Facebook. If you're listening to audio, thank you very much as well. But I logged in today, and there's this guy who's just kind of sitting there waiting. And I'm like, what is this dude doing in my friggin', part of my show? And I don't know how long he's been hanging around, maybe a couple months, maybe close to a year now, but it's been a while since I've seen this guy on air. But he has been a contributor to CWN for the past several months. And, he's always, blessed and honored and welcome to be a part of this show. And if you haven't figured out who I'm talking about, it's the one and only Mr. Stephen O'Neill. Stephen, how you doing?
I'm actually great. It's a nice day here. I was able to get outside. Going to go get my phone fixed in a little bit because my phone won't hold a charge. So, it's a good time.
What do you classify as nice day? It's like 5 degrees here in London right now. It's cold.
Oh, it's like 13 here in Toronto.
Wow, 2 hours difference and such a temperature difference as well.
12 degrees, feels like 9. I'm in shorts, flip-flops. It's great.
Yeah, and I'm rocking the hoodie going on here. And by the way, anybody watching this right now, Steven is not wearing a hat. That is the actual lamp behind him. So he's not getting ready to cook food, even though he looks like the Swedish chef there going on. But Steven, welcome welcome officially to CWN on air here. But it's nice to have you. Did you watch Impact this past Thursday?
I started to, and then I fell asleep because it's been long weeks.
So for those, a brief little history on Steven, a huge wrestling fan. Obviously, you can see his bio on cwnonline.ca, but old school fan, and I'm talking old school as in the Midnight Express. He is probably the biggest, and I'm not going to say the word mark, even though I want to, but the biggest fan of Jim Cornette and everything that relates to Jim Cornette. So, but old school mentality, and you're only, you're late 30s, aren't you, or mid 30s?
Mid 30s.
Yeah, so I mean, we've had discussions on shows before, but the fact is, for somebody your age to be, so in love with a guy like Jim Cornette, it's absolutely, it's unreal. Like to me, it'd be back in the day of Bobby the Brain Heenan and Mr. Fuji, but to you, it was the other side of things, NWA and Cornette, eh?
Oh yeah, I absolutely love Cornette. I have he put 2 action figures online. I don't know, a month ago I bought them. I have Cornette shirts. I have a Cornette, Cult of Cornette certificate. I have little cards that he sends with it. Yeah, I'm a huge Jim Cornette fan, and I listen to his 2 podcasts every week. Tend to agree with most of things he says, especially when it comes to wrestling. But yeah, it's one of those things that you get hooked in, and then I followed him into Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which I didn't know at the time he owned, but it's just, he could, I wish he was still involved with wrestling, because I think he's got the mind that could help wrestling companies now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Cornette is one of those guys who shoots off his mouth a little bit too much. And,
I love it. But could you imagine him working with any manager in any of the big promotions? It would make them, the managers, so much better and so much more entertaining.
Yeah. So Steven has promised to keep this PG. If you see the E mark next to this show on Anchor or Apple Podcasts, whatever the case may be, it's not me. But usually, unless we're talking about AEW or Steven's got a Caesar into him, or it's later at night, then there we go. But anyways, I was just going to reference Jim Cornette being at AEW would be something, but we will never probably ever see that. But we'll leave it at that. Another day, another time. But Steven's on a time limit here, so I'm going to make sure we get this done. Impact Wrestling Rebellion 2021, Skyway Studios, Nashville, Tennessee, live 8 o'clock tonight, like I had said. There is a Countdown to Rebellion kickoff show taking place at 7 o'clock p.m. That's Fight and social media for free. The show itself is $39.99, I think, on Fight. So not too bad, but one hell of a card, so to speak. I'm going to go through the lineup here, get Steven's thoughts, predictions, and then we'll I don't know if he's seen this at the very end, but I'll leave it till then. But match number 1, Grudge match, Matt Cardona taking on Brian Myers. It's finally happening on pay-per-view. What are your thoughts? Who's going to win?
I have Brian Myers winning it. I think they're both being underused in Impact from what I've been able to see. It was easier for me to watch them when they were on Tuesdays. When they switched to Thursdays, I'm a little busy on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock usually. And it's just annoying because I have other shows to watch. So it was better when they were on Tuesdays. But from catching up with them, I mean, I think they're both being underutilized. I think they'd be better served as a tag team in Impact, but I've got Brian Myers winning. Because I don't think Matt Cardona's signed long. I think he's going back to AEW anytime. So
yeah, he's from interviews I've seen him do, it's he wants to keep an open book. So basically he wants to somewhat be a free agent, be able to travel where he wants to go. Obviously with COVID-19 and everything else, it'd be a matter of time. But I think you're right about the AEW thing. I want to see Brian Myers wins because to me it makes more sense to build him towards, say, a future title run than Cardona, especially with Cardona's contract status being up in the air, as well as Cardona's already had that singles run as champion in WWE, obviously. So let's see what Myers can do. Build him strong, keep him strong in this one, and have him go over Cardona in the battle of the podcasters, so to speak. So Myers for both of us there. Match number 2, and I might reference this rumor had what I've seen coming up here. But last man standing match, we got Trey Miguel taking on Sammy Callahan. Before I get your thoughts on it, I'm going to say there was a report that was released about an hour ago on Fightful with regards to former WWE star set to debut for Impact. I think if anything at all, this last man standing match, I can see him debuting in this. Being on the side of obviously Sammy Callahan. He's used to being aligned with big guys and groups and everything else. So you're shaking your head. Yes, obviously you've seen the rumor as well. Do you see the debut happening in this match? And who do you see winning the last man standing match here?
So I made my prediction before I seen this report, obviously, because it just came out. I had Trey Miguel actually winning it because I think it sets him up going for a world title run. See, this is where I'm torn. This person could debut in this match.
Well, do you want to mention who it is?
Oh, it's Big Kaz.
So we'll reference that in the 8-man tag match as well because of everything that we know that has gone on with EY, so to speak. I think that's what you're talking about, eh?
Yeah, that because he's got a torn. I don't know if it's leg or shoulder or something.
ACL, no, his ACL's out, and he's out 6 to 8 months.
So I could see him being there as a manager, but I'm going to go with Trey Miguel in this. I think Trey Miguel, this is supposed to hopefully promote him into a bigger picture. So I'm hoping it's Trey Miguel.
I'm gonna go the other. I was just gonna say I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go Callahan because the fact is, Trey Miguel, obviously, I think he re-signed with Impact Wrestling to basically set himself up to be eventually world champion. Whether or not it's by the end of the year, I don't know. But he's the type of guy you want to see chase the title. So in saying that, I see Callahan resorting to dirty tactics. I never even thought about the 8-man tag and having Big Cass debut there. But that would make sense because, he would, I mean, it's insane to think about how big Joe Doring is, but then you have Big Cass be part of that as well, while Eric Young's kind of healing. That'd be a completely different story. But either way, I'm going to say, because of what you said, I'm going to say Big Cass does not debut in this match, but I'm going to say Sammy Callahan for the win in the last man standing match here. So we're opponents in this one. Match number 3, which I've got listed here, 8-man tag team match. We got Eddie Edwards, Chris Sabin, James Storm, Willie Mack taking on Violent by Design, which is EY, Diener, Joe Doring, and Rhino. As we referenced, Eric Young, EY, torn ACL. Don't think he's had surgery yet, but he is out 6 to 8 months. He said when he wrestled that match this past Thursday against Eddie Edwards, his ACL was fully blown, so he wrestled on a bad ACL, which is absolutely insane. So who's your picks in this one? And then what do we see out of Big Cass as far as this match goes?
Well, I had Violent by Design winning, because if you're going to promote this group to be a fours, they've got to win this match against four guys put together. When I made that pick, I forgot about EY's knee, but I still think this is where Big Kaz would make sense. You could still have EY around as the manager / mouthpiece because he's really good at that. And I think there's your monster. I know Joe Doring is a monster, but I'm going to say he's in the ring. Big Kaz could always wrestle. So I think there's your monster that you could build this group around.
Yeah, it's interesting. If we had more time, I'd step in and say, what are your thoughts on maybe Enzo joining up too? That's a whole different ballpark show there.
You said I'm not allowed to swear, so let's not go there.
All right, so we'll leave it at that. I gotta agree. I gotta say Violent by Design simply because of the fact they are a star group right now. With regards to WWE, at one point you had the Hurt Business, which was huge, and then all of a sudden they dropped the ball on that one. The other side of things with regards to Impact Wrestling, they got Violent by Design, which is huger than I ever expected it to be. Obviously, being Canadian, it's a little bit of bias there. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say they put EY in the match. He doesn't do much, very limited. And I'm going to say Big Cass is the reason why Violent by Design go over in this match here. So I'm going to say Big Cass makes his debut in Violent by Design for the win. And this might be the it for EY as far as a little while goes anyways. Match number 4 of the night, Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championship match. We got Fire and Flava, which is the Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz as champs, taking on Jordan Grace as well as Rachel Ellering. Steven, your thoughts on who's going to win, as well as your thoughts on Rachel Ellering joining Impact Wrestling?
I have Fire and Flava retaining because I don't know if Rachel Ellering is signed or is this kind of like a short-term deal. And I think every time I've seen her, she's got something, but every company starts and stops with her pretty quick. So I'm not sure why. But I have Fire and Flava winning just because you're not putting the titles on them if Ellering's signed to a short-term deal.
So your pick, Fire and Flava?
Yeah.
So I got to go the opposite. I got to say it's about time that Fire and Flava actually lose those titles. I'm not a big fan of Jordan Grace. I respect her accomplishments, but just her in-ring skills, she kind of bores me. But you put Rachel Ellering with her, and they looked like a force this past week on Impact, and it was only for a few seconds there. So I'm going to say there's going to be too much power for Kiera as well as Tasha to deal with. I'm going to say, I agree. I don't know how Rachel Ellering's status is right now because she could easily fit into AEW as well. But fact is, why not put the titles on them, even if it's a quick run, simply because the next match we talk about is going to be related to that as well. But I'm going to say Jordan Grace as well as Rachel Ellering for the win for the titles. And match number 5 of the night's Finn Juice taking on the Good Brothers. Titles on the line there. That was the relevance I'm talking about. Finn Juice, they're not signed to Impact Wrestling, but that forbidden door is open, So Impact World Tag Team Championship match, who do you got? As well as what are your thoughts on just briefly the forbidden door being kicked open right now?
I've got the Good Brothers winning the titles back because I think Finn Juice's run is come and gone. I'm pretty sure they're going back to Japan anytime. This forbidden door, if it was really knocked down, we would see a lot more top talent working both shows. Like all the right now, it's interesting, but it's always the B and the C players, not the A's yet. So I don't know. I'm torn because sometimes I'm like, there's some dream matchups that could happen, and then I'm like, wait, they're just using the B and C players. So, and that isn't even a shot at Omega.
No, fair enough. I mean, it reminds me back in the day. They're talking about the Forbidden Door and the whole invasion angle in WWE. You know what I mean? But they didn't have the Goldbergs and the Stings and the Ric Flairs and stuff like that. So I completely understand. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say Good Brothers as well. I'm gonna say Finn Juice's time with regards to Impact Wrestling has come and done. Is exactly what you said. I think we're gonna see an influx of different New Japan talent over. But until the restrictions are lifted, we're not going to see a full-fledged war, I guess, going on. So I'm going to say Good Brothers for the win as well. 3 matches left. Triple threat match of the Impact Wrestling X Division Championship. Ace Austin, Madman Fulton in his corner, obviously taking on TJP, taking on Canada's own walking weapon, Josh Alexander. Who's your pick in this one? I think it's one fall to a finish. I think it's triple threat style. So who's your pick?
I have Ace Austin retaining. I was torn because I really think Josh Alexander should win, but with Madman Fulton on the outside, there's going to be some shenanigans, and that's how Ace Austin's going to retain. I also don't want, this is going to sound really selfish, I don't want to see Josh Alexander locked into the X Division. I would much rather see him lose, build him up, and put him into a world title picture. He is far too good to be in the X Division.
So I'm going to quickly say this just because of Impact Wrestling history. I'm going to say Josh Alexander for the win. I'm going to say there's a little bit of bias there, but I'm going to say it's one of those things where Josh Alexander cashes in the X Division Championship at some point to take on the world champion. I'm going to say that's how it plays out. But I'm going to say Madman Fulton, yes, he plays a factor in the match, but fact is when it comes down to it, I want to see Alexander win. And I agree with you. I think he's world champion material more than so the X Division, but I see him cashing that title in. 2 matches left. Match number 7, Impact Knockouts Championship match. We got Deonna Purrazzo as champion, taking on the one and only Tenille Dashwood with Caleb with a K in her corner. Match hype, is it there, as well as do you see Tenille beating Deonna?
The match hype wasn't there. It's actually quite boring. I'm kind of disappointed on that they haven't done more. Also, having 2 female heels go against each other, it hasn't made me want to watch it. I think there's a new champion, Tenille Dashwood, but there's going to be shenanigans. I'm not interested in this match at all. Unlike what WWE did with Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks built it up, heel, good guy, bad guy, built it up, and you wanted to see Bianca Belair win. I really could care less on who wins this match, but I picked Tenille Dashwood.
So I got to agree with the fact Tenille Dashwood for the win. I'm going to say Sue Young has a play in this. I'm going to say she turns against Deonna Purrazzo. I'm going to say it's the beginning of a face turn for Deonna Purrazzo. In saying that, it's going to be interesting to see how Tenille's going to play up with Sue Young. But I think that's going to be the reason why basically Deonna ends up losing in this one here. And match number 8, main event of the night, one everybody's been talking about since seemingly January. Title versus title match. The big news here, Mauro Ranallo on commentary, which is absolutely cool. Rich Swann, Impact TNA World Champion, taking on the one and only Kenny Omega, AEW World Champion with Don Callis in his corner. Are we going to see things called fair? Now, Aubrey Edwards on Twitter referenced this match looking like she might be there for the event. Obviously, I'm thinking they got who's the guy? Brian Hebner, probably doing the officiating for Impact Wrestling itself. So how do you see this match going? Who's going to take it? Are we going to see, a triple champion, so to speak, at the very end? I mean, what are your thoughts, and what are we going to see at the end of this?
I have a bad feeling there's going to be shenanigans with the ref, and that will actually hurt this match. I have Omega winning because it makes no sense for AEW to put all this effort in for Swann to win. Swann is not a star. He's like a D+ player. Omega, at least, as much as I can't stand his work, recently it's been what I enjoy. That arrogant prick that you want to hate. But it's enjoyable, at least. He's not trying to be a good guy when you can tell he's not.
So that's all it takes, eh? 6 months of me and you not doing a show together for you to turn your leaf on Omega there.
Well, no, they're at least been doing something where it's interesting, but it makes no sense to me for Rich Swann to win. Not one.
See, the kid fan in me would love to see Rich Swann win, basically to go over to the other companies and do what he does best, right? But you said it best. He is not a star. He is a star in Impact Wrestling, but he is not a star that could carry the AEW brand at this point, and that's exactly what it would be. And with Moose coming out and basically saying, "Hey, look, if you lose, you're going to get your butt beat." It's going to be interesting. So with that being said, that's the storyline that's going to continue in Impact Wrestling is, hey, you lost our world championship. And all of a sudden you're going to see basically the biggest face in the company right now become the biggest loser in the company come this, coming Thursday. But yeah, I got to agree with you. I got to say Omega, just by the way he carries himself and by the way that Don Callis has done everything he's done with regards to, the feud, the rivalry, so to speak.
It's all leading into this like long-term. How they booked it, it would make no sense for Rich Swann to win.
Yeah,
and
completely.
I can't see AEW putting all this time and effort in to having Rich Swann be their champion when they have wrestlers on their show who would actually be enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting the next couple months regardless. But guys, those are our predictions for the 8 big matches taking place tonight. Like I said, Impact Wrestling Rebellion 2021, Skyway Studios, Nashville, Tennessee, live at 8 o'clock tonight, Fight pay-per-view, and the Countdown to Rebellion 2021, 7 o'clock p.m., Fight and social media for free. Steven, thank you very much for being part of the show and your predictions. If you want, go ahead, plug the other show that you're on every Thursday at 8, hence the fact that you're usually multitasking or multi-streaming as Impact Wrestling's on. But what do you got going on Thursday nights anyways?
So Thursdays I'm part of Scumbags podcast. We're on the Facebook group Scumbags of Wrestling. Every Tuesday you can see my article on CWN Online, Slugging with Stephen O'Neill featuring, and I'm not sure who this week because I haven't had a chance to go through and organize those. But that will be up Tuesday, as long as my life can get organized tomorrow. But yeah, so yeah, I'm staying busy.
And then quick shout out for the other thing that Sean's got going on over there, because it references pay-per-views and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the Scumbags Prediction League feature presented by Cool Bets. It's pretty cool. It's there's a free league that's just for fun, and then we have one that's a paid league where the winner just before WrestleMania will win a title belt.
And then last plug, which you completely forgot about, which we started together way back in the day, was this thing with the initials FWT. Any idea?
Oh yes. And then every Wednesday we have Fantasy Warfare tournament. It's me, Sean and Chris Jones. This week is US WCW NWA US Tag Team titles. Can you tell who picked the theme this week?
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was part of it, we'd always get together through Facebook Messenger and kind of throw ideas back and forth. And some of the weeks that you guys come out with stuff, I'm like, how the hell did they think about that stuff? But
we just talk about what would be entertaining. Then we put out probably in our group chat, we probably put out 10 or 15 ideas, and then start to look to see, are any of them entertaining enough? And once we narrow it down, we usually pick 2 or 3. And Chris Jones, who's OCD about history, does all the history, and we have cheat sheets because he's great at that stuff. So
yeah, so like Fantasy Warfare tournament every Wednesday at 6. You got Slugging with Stephen O'Neill every Tuesday at 6 as well on CWNonline.ca. And then Scumbags of Wrestling podcast every Thursday night at 8 on YouTube as well, correct?
Yes.
All right. So
since I have no life right now, you might have to just
But anyways, thank you very much for being a part of the show. Like I said, Impact Wrestling Rebellion 2021 taking place live tonight, 8:00 p.m. We'll have to see if we can get you back for AEW for next month because they get that big show taking place. And
They have a big show? What?
Oh, come on.
Which one is this? Is this the Fire or Blood and Guts?
No, it's what the heck is it? No, Double or Nothing.
Oh yeah.
I want to
so
say
weird without fans, without like thinking about trying to go to these shows, you start to forget.
But we'll talk about it this coming May. But thanks, Steven, CWN contributor, obviously part of the Scumbags of Wrestling, as well as Fantasy Warfare Tournament, for being part of the show today. And enjoy
Thanks
the show.
for having me.
Enjoy the show tonight, guys. And we'll see everybody tomorrow for the recap show. All right. Thanks very much.